This episode of Finding Demo Surf Fishing is being brought to you by DS Custom Tackle. Head on over to dscustomtackle.com, take a look at the website, and go ahead and get your hands on. Geez, so many great things to get your rig set up. Floats, beads, swivels, clips, all sorts of good things for putting that together. If you like to make on other teasers and stuff like that, yeah, they got you covered there with hooks and a bunch of other good stuff. So it's a kind of a one-stop shop. If you're into making your own rigs, yep, they can supply you. You just got to do all the fun paperwork stuff. Send it on over to dscustomtackle.com. Get your order in today. Everything will be golden. Oh, yeah. New week, new episode. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. Things have been going smoothly for you. We are finally transitioning out of the good old Florida summer and into the, I almost want to say my favorite time of year for fishing, fall. On the same note, fall is kind of my favorite time of year in general, just because we're finally getting out of the I can't take any skin off weather. And I am not I'm not built for summer. I don't know if you've seen me in person. I'm kind of medium extra extra husky. I've never been a big fan of the heat of summer, so it's just part of it, and it slows my fishing down. It does. I will admit that. I don't find in enjoyment being out on the beach and being a rotisserie chicken out there and trying to enjoy fishing. It just doesn't do it for me. So fall is one of my favorites for that. You get back out there, and yes, it gets cooler, but there's a lot of cool things that happen with the transition from summer to fall and fall into winter. Yeah, with the different species and the changes that come with that. So lots of fun things in there. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about seasonal fishing and adapting to changing conditions. So, yeah, I'm going to basically pull my pool of knowledge. Yeah, you're stuck with me this week. Sorry, no guests. You're stuck with me. I'm basically going to pull from the knowledge that I've gained while doing this show and kind of share synopsises and other pieces. And maybe there's some things you've heard in previous episodes or forgotten about, and maybe this will help you out. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's talk about that. Let's talk about the first thing that everyone wants to really talk about, and that's targeting. We've talked a lot of times in this whole series, the whole show, different uh, thoughts on targeting. One of the one that always stands out though is the guys that talk about, oh, if you say you're just going fishing, then you're going fishing. You're not fishing for pompano or whiting. Be specific of what you're trying to fish. And yeah, that's cool. I believe that's pretty damn cool that people are really successful at targeting. Out here, I kind of have a different thought on it, and I know people will say what they're going to say, but hey, okay, cool story. We have such a myriad out here that feed in those zones and go on the same bait. That's kind of hard to just target one. That being said, if I'm targeting pompano with set rigs, obviously I'm not targeting bluefish. Doesn't mean a bluefish isn't going to hit a double dropper, but less likely. So when it comes to certain species, yes, there is a targeted style of fishing from the beach versus um, set and throw and just sit back and wait. Uh, actually, yeah, you know what? We're going to get into that part later. We're going to talk about the fun thought I had on that one. So with fall, let's start where we're at, and we'll move on from there. How about that? That's probably the better one. So we're talking about targeting there. The species that change, we always have pompano here in Florida. The difference being the quote unquote run when they're in bigger droves because of the migration. Yeah, that's kind of a big one there. We'll have a couple of different changes here with Spanish kings moving around, moving out cobia, and then we'll start getting into some fun winter ones. Start popping their head in. The Pomps will become less. The colder species will start coming in, bobos and tuna. Here in our area, specifically in Navarre, we get tuna right off the end of the pier. So, and whew, Okaloosa Island is great for that. But let's get into also the other fun ones. You get a lot more black drum come fall into winter. So with this fall in, redfish are going to become a little bit more in the surf. You're going to see that a little bit more. Definitely inshore, no problem there. Speckled trout. Uh, in Alabama, in our area here, I will say that you'll see speckled. They'll catch specks. It's pretty impressive to see that they catch them from the surf. We don't really get them here in Navarre. I'm not saying they're not here. I'm just saying I haven't seen it and I haven't caught it. So it's not as common, I guess, for the our side. But anyway, throughout your areas, that's kind of another one. You've seen the species change. Up in New England, oh man, striped bass. Oh, stripus. Yeah, they start getting real fun. Uh, Bluefish, my one of my favorite fish to eat. I still don't know why people call it a trash fish. I really don't. Like I said, I've said it in every time I've ever talked about bluefish. Cut out the damn dark meat, and you're gonna have a delicious fish. Friggin' amazing. But yeah, they're gonna change in, so you're gonna have that one. So as the water temperature is the big piece here. So the water temperature for the summer, hot, obviously cooks it all up, gets a nice bath. Fish don't like it any more than we do. If it's too hot, and they're going to be lethargic. If it's too cold, same thing. They're going to be lethargic, trying to maintain energy, or they're going to move. They're going to transition to somewhere where it is comfortable and they can thrive and be comfortable and happy. So yeah, there's that. Bait fish, the bait start moving around. They start going out. They do their thing. Sand fleas, worms, all that fun stuff that starts repopulating back up because the temperatures are changing. It's all there. So that brings the fish closer in to come get their food. That brings up actually a great point that's not written down in my notes here as I'm reading from. If you know that your species likes coquina clams, sand fleas, stuff of that nature off the bottom, ghost shrimp, you probably want to use that kind of bait, right? Probably. You can get it. I also highly recommend using synthetics. You've heard me talk about it a lot. Fish bites. I love using it. It's useful. It's helpful. All these things. A myriad of bait is important. Shrimp always great. You can't go wrong with shrimp. Everything eats shrimp. Poor, almost like bottom of the friggin' food chain for the ocean and us. Like, yeah, thanks, shrimp. Uh, all those bait are going to start kind of coming back up and moving closer to shore and doing their piece. And with the spawning, so these other fish, they're going to come in and they're going to come grab that stuff. They're going to eat it and they're going to, the cycle of life, right? So that brings the kind of the thought process with that. So if you're going to get into with the bait, now you're going to get into the strategy. Okay. So now that we've gotten into the strategy, one thing I will say is walking around the beach prior to going to your spot is key. I said it in my episode of, getting back into the game, going back and trying to find old spots, and it didn't work out so well, right? Same thing. You got to walk. You got to go take a look. If you're not, kind of scouting out your spots, yeah, you're fishing, sure, but you're not exactly setting yourself up for a little bit of success. So get out on another day where you're not going to fish or take a lure rod with you and just go walk the beach, throwing the lure rod, having some fun, getting all the rust off from last time you went out there, trying out some new lures. And hey, mark it on your phone. Drop a pin, put a mark on there. This is spot A. I want to try. Or carry the notebook. I love talking about the notebook because I always go back to that episode with Spencer from Broken Reel 23. That whole he's got years uh, of knowledge written in the book, and he's shown it in his YouTube. He really has. He's gone over numerous times. Of like, hey, yep, on this day, this is what I caught. This is what the wind conditions were, and he's used it again. Huge, right? So the same thing with the phone or your notebook. Mark your spots, mark your GPS, and look around. Like, okay, this is how far I was. Nothing wrong with any of that because you're gaining intel. With fall coming as well, there's another big one. Good old tournament season starting out. Ooh, I need coffee here. Oh yeah. So coffee season? Oh man, I'm not awake. Um, Tournament season's starting, so you need your spots for the tournaments. This is another advantage. It's going to do that. So if you haven't had a book from before, or marks or spots like that, it'd be a good time to start as we transition in that one. With tackling gear, if you are just getting into the game, and I'm going to do an episode on this more and more. I'm going to do several gear tackle and other ones in the upcoming future. And yeah, it's going to piss some people off. I know that that's going to happen. But if you haven't used your gear from before, now's a good time to start researching what you're going to need. Now, I am a fan of all encompassing if I can. I don't like single use things. I really, especially in fishing, this isn't a cheap hobby sport. It's not. Um, I mean, hell, take a look at the rods and reels that we all fawn over. It's very simple to walk into the tackle shop and spend $300, $400 in a sitting, really, just to get one or two pieces of gear. It can get really, really pricey. So, I mean, if you're going to do what most surf fishing, 3 to 4 rods, that adds up. So, I personally know with my setups what I like to use because I know that I can take out, perfect example, my ninja rod, my dagger, my 12 footer. I can use that just about anywhere for any species of fish from the beach and not have a problem, minus big sharks. But I don't fish for sharks, so that doesn't fit my mold. Um, I can catch black drum. I can catch itty bitty friggin' what are they called? I can catch spades. Yeah, I've caught or yeah, I can catch a ton of tiny things and big things. I know I'm confident in it. My fishing line, I know what size I use. I know all this stuff. I know my gear. I know what I'm working with. I also know what I can change to after the last, good God, 4 years playing in this area. Yeah, I know what I can change to. That one of them being, I probably am going to change my main line from 30 down to 20. I haven't done it. I still haven't done it. I think I've talked about it every year of doing it, but I just never do. Call it financial? Well, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Financial reasons. No, we all know that ain't the truth. So, knowing your gear is good, but with that, your tackle, hooks, floats, beads, all of that is going to play a factor. So, know you have your stuff ready. One other thing I want to talk about with tackle, and that's going to be rigs. And there is going to be a self episode with rigs, and that one is going to stir the friggin' pot with a blender, not a spoon. God, that one's going to create some turmoil. Man, that's going to be a fun one. Um, I have kind of adjusted my mentality starting last year, and uh, yes, I do fish. No, I don't post it all to social media anymore. I've kind of backed away from that. I've actually backed significantly away from social media, but that's a different podcast. Um, each one of my rods now does not have the same rig on it. I've completely changed that mentality from what it used to be. Whether one rod could have a Bruno rig from the sinker guy. The next one could have a Salty's Pompano rig on it. And then, hell, yeah, I've used it. Frisky Fins, James's stuff. I maybe have one of those on, and love Cliff stuff from Green Get 'em Rigs. Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. I could have all that on there, and I could have very well a completely butt naked rig, just a hook. I've gotten to the point now where I think that we've gone a little too flashy. That also being said, in the exact same coin, I think that sometimes they are attractive to something different, some different color, some different size, some different motion. So I've decided, yeah, that every rod will have something different on it for Pompano and or for a high-low rig. If I'm going red fishing, I'm still keeping into the line of I'll use 2 rods maybe for that if I want to get into the cut bait game, and in which case I'm using two different rigs. Normally I'm using a DS rig for the drum one, and I'm using Rob's from Rogue Reels. Uh, I'm using his style for the red drum. Oh, and yes, I do use the Demo HD rig still. I very much so do. It's still out there. Sorry, I just the first four came to my mind because I was thinking four rods. But yeah, I still use all that stuff. So having these different styles gives me more opportunities, in my opinion, to target these fish in different zones. And then when I find out where they're at, I'm going to concentrate the rods in those zones, and then I'm going to see if a rig makes a difference. If it does, okay, I'll switch. I'll move everything to that style. If it doesn't, then well, why change things? But that said, next time I go out, it might not be the exact same thing. Maybe they're gonna not hit that at all. Maybe they're gonna want a different bait. It could be I have everything sitting there with one style of bait on four different styles of hooks, and yeah, hey, no, they didn't touch it. Well, what the hell, right? So that kind of stuff's all going to play into the game, but we're getting really far into the weeds with that. So it depends on how far you want to go. If you want to go that route, location. We've talked about it, but just look them up. I mean, find your new ones. Got to walk it out. We've got so many different things here, but don't forget, look at other things, inlets, outlets, the points. Listen in on what other people have done. Talk to your friends. Look at social media. Yeah, I know you're stealing spots because they're all individual spots, right? God, I hate that. That's gonna be I should do another podcast on that. This is my spot. Yeah, all right. You were here first, like 20 years ago. It's yours and only yours. That's a fun conversation. I can't say shit because I've done it. I've said that. Damn it, that's my spot. I like that spot. I'm not gonna get pissed off and throw blows about it though. It's like whatever. We go from there. So with the adaptation too, when it comes to fall, we also have night fishing is going to be still pretty good. You're still going to have some good opportunity for decent temperatures, decent weather with that. So getting out and playing on that one, you're going to see some different timelines and real fun to go with. Turtle season is in effect here, so make sure you got those red lights for your headlight. You don't need a white light; you'll be fine. Just go out there and throw. That's another thing to think about, and uh, pay attention to your surroundings. Nighttime you gotta be a little bit more safe at night, in my opinion. You didn't see the holes and the divots that were there earlier. You don't see the crabs that are walking around up on the surface. You don't see Fred lurking in the back until you turn your head with your headlight and his eyes glow at you, and it's just creepy. Still important right there, right? So lots of fun pieces there with fall, and I'm very excited for those ones. I can't wait to play into fall some there. So that being said, it's been wow, it's been almost 20. Let's go ahead and knock out a bait check because you should be checking your bait when you're out there. Yeah, remember that. Check your damn bait. This bait check is being brought to you by the Kids Can Fish Foundation. KidsCanFish.net is a great organization that is taking these kids out to fishing camps and showing them how to throw cast nets, fish with rods and reels from the beach, how to bait their hooks, all these things. I mean, they take people that have never done fishing, and next thing you know, they got gear. Yeah, they're showing them how. They're getting these kids out there. And at the end of it, the greatest part is the kids get to go home with the gear they used that day for the rest of their life. It's theirs. They didn't have to pay anything. It's free. But that also, there is a cost to them, and your support is what makes that happen. So if they live off of donations, and there's also the tournament coming up, the running of the bulls out of St. Simon's Island, Georgia, and Jekyll. We just did an episode on it. You can find out all about that on there and go take a look. So head on over, kidscanfish.net, hook them up because they're hooking everyone up. All right, let's move into winter. Oh, winter. A lot of people don't like it. I don't really know why, I guess is the best thing to say. I mean, winter is fun. Sweater weather. Love friggin' winter for that. Get the old blue flannel out, pants, thicker shoes out of there. Yeah, I have no problem with winter. Wintertime brings in a whole different type of pling thing when it comes to species. You're gonna see a lot more big black drum, especially in this area. Like big, we're talking 30 plus inchers. And they love hitting set rigs, man. They absolutely adore them. They will come in, bite it, and go to town. They're gonna fight you for a good minute or two, and then they're like, "Oh God, just bring me in already and send me back out." Oh, they're fun fish. Um, Earlier into the transition, you'll see the eater size, the slot, the lower slot and slot ones. I still have yet to eat one. I've heard they're delicious. It's on my list this year, but I've caught the big ones and they've been fun. So you see that a lot. Pompano, you'll probably get residential style whiting. Whiting are normally always around, so you're going to see that. The bluefish are going to start backing off a bit, a little too cold. So they'll Spanish, you'll see them way off. You won't pull that one. And if you want to go to the pier, especially in Navarre, around a certain time, I'm not going to say when, you can catch blackfin tuna. Yeah, you can get after them around here. It's pretty damn cool up and down our whole little panhandle area. There's quite the run. We got a lot of really good winter fish. And if you like going inshore in this area, you can get on sheep's head, the old human teeth looking monster. And they are delicious. They are really good. I will definitely try to go back out sheep's head fishing this year to try to get my hands on some more. So just a great fish. Targeting wise, so you already know what you're going to do. You're going to run around the same things. So, but colder weather equals lethargic. They're going to slow down because they need to maintain that energy. You could put, I mean, we've seen it. You can put a lure, a piece of bait right in front of a fish, and they're like, no, I'm good right here. And they won't eat. It sucks. Pain in the ass and drive you nuts. But it does happen. So, remember the colder water is going to change things up. So you got to kind of pay more attention to, you got to be a little bit more finer on your fishing, a little bit more under the rips, a little bit more under the backside, make sure you're using the right bait. I do recommend this for earlier in the fall. I did this in the spring and they're still good. I got a bunch of sand fleas in the spring for the summer fishing. And what I did is I took them all and I did the saltwater brine that I'd seen online and put them in there, and I put them in the freezer. And the water's still cold, it's still salty, so it doesn't freeze up. It's good. And the sand fleas haven't frozen either because they're all brined in there and they're going to hold. I have found that brine does better than blanching for me. I'm not going to get into a pissing match with you if you're all about blanching your sand fleas. Good for you. I don't care. That feels really nice to say. Yeah, it does. If the blanching thing works, then for me, they don't. The shells crack every time. Doesn't matter how long I boil it for. Pink, red, the damn things break. So the blanching works out really well, and the shells maintain their exact same integrity. So I like doing that. So this, if you did that in the fall, for the winter, you're going to have a lesser problem of trying to find sand fleas in the sand when they're cold and they're buried deep. So you got a bait set up from before. Still a great one to use. I mean, imagine these fish haven't seen sand fleas and all of a sudden they swim by and like, oh, crunchy. They go for it. It's something important to think about, right? Okay. So play with that one. Patience is going to be a big one, and you need to also protect yourself when you're out there in the winter, wherever you are. Here in the Panhandle, yes, it gets cold, but it doesn't get New England cold. Yeah. If I'm in Connecticut, Chris, love you, man. I don't want to be out there in the middle of winter. It's friggin' cold and it's biting. And it's not a good time to be on the shoreline like that because you got the Atlantic Ocean just staring at you, sending wind. I don't want that. Here, okay, I'm gonna be a little bit warmer, so dress in layers wherever you are if it's cold. Not just one thing. Put on several layers. I personally go out in my Finding Demo shirt, and underneath that's normally my favorite fishing hoodie, which is my sword fishing hoodie. God, that thing, they sell them every year around this time. So if you're looking for a really good sport hoodie, that one's friggin' phenomenal. Absolutely super comfy. And then the blue flannel. I mean, it goes right on over it. I'll put a beanie on my head, and I'll probably use one of my warmer neck gaiters, probably my Poly Pro one. I like that one. It's very keeps the wind off and it's comfortable and it's warm. Gloves, I've had a couple of conversations about gloves. Some people don't like them. They're worried about the water getting into them. I got a pair, I believe, yeah, they're Cast Kings for Christmas last year, and they are waterproof, windproof, but they're not super thick. So you can't use like I've got a couple pairs where you just can't use the damn things. These ones I've been able to move my hands, move my fingers. They're designed for fishing. They're designed for us, so you can still bait your hooks, grab these fish, use your tools, reel, all of it without taking your gloves off. It's pretty damn nice. Pants. It depends on how cold it is. I might even wear my waders. I love them. They're comfortable for that. I do also remember you're gonna buy the sock layer, layers. If you're gonna buy that style of waders and they have the booties on the bottom, yeah, they have special boots designed for them if you want. I didn't know that. It only took me like a year to realize, 2 years to realize it, and then I was like, oh crap, I got boots that I can wear with this. This is nice. Yeah, so special shoes for that. But a lot of times it's just jeans, maybe a pair of long johns or poly pros underneath, and probably either my boat shoes or some form of you know high ankle boot that's waterproof, windproof. Keep my feet warm in socks. I will absolutely wear good, comfortable socks. Bait. We talked about bait a little bit. The tide is going to the tides are going to be the same, but they're going to be a little seasonally different. I'm not going to go into the science of that. The flow is a little different. So take a look at Noah. I would say definitely go look at Noah. That's a bit of a change one there. So uh cool stuff to learn with that, right? Okay. So now we're out of winter and then we're going into spring, and spring, everyone, spring run, spring run, spring run, spring run. Why did people talk about spring run? Because it brings back a shit ton of species. Right? Pomps, blues, mackerels, uh, kings, so many different things. Things start coming back to life in spring because the water temperature's gone from super cold back to warm, right? Now they're happy, they're going to come back out. So again, same thing, restock on your pond or on your sand fleece, get that rake back out there because they're going to start coming back up. So you have some for the summer or later on, and you can change it up a little bit more with the gear. Maybe you want to change to lighter tackle, or maybe you want to try more bait, more lures. All that stuff matters when it comes to spring. So you got more pieces come in. Uh, South Florida, I want to say snook. High side here, more to the east, but definitely you're going to start seeing them come later spring, early summer. But yeah, you're going to start seeing some fun stuff come back up. And you just can get really fun, I guess, really after it there because it's just a bigger run time, right? Also, tournament season kicks back up again in spring. You got another set of tournaments. So again, what we talked about before, check your spots because they change every season constantly. Yeah, this coffee is good today, man. I'm feeling it. Yeah. Love doing these like this on my own because you're just like, what the hell are you doing? You could be in your car, like, why is this guy? I'm gonna stop and get coffee now. You're welcome. Have some coffee. Um, Backing up, I forgot to mention this with fall. Hurricane season in our area is predominant until November. So September is real, and we're in September right now as I'm recording this. It's actually it's the 8th. I'll happily tell you the date. There you go. We got a couple of storms brewing. I know when hurricane season starts, I know that I need to pay attention one to the weather, but also after they run or whether they hit Louisiana or off to the point. All of that matters because it changes the surge, it changes the tidal flow, it changes so many pieces. I know my holes and my breaks and all that, that's going to change. So knowing those ones, again, go back out and look at those spots, right? Same thing with spring, winter, a little bit of turmoil, a little bit of changes. Go check it, see what's changed, see if there's something new that came back. Yeah, you just made me think of something else, but I'm not gonna talk about that. Nope. And then we just talk. Then we get back into summer, and yay, summer! I hate summer here. June grass. That's why I hate summer here. Heat and whatever I can get in the shade, but June grass because it shuts everything down and it sucks. Uh, Summer also wherever you're at, more crowded beaches. It's gonna happen. People are on vacation. The time kids are out of school. You're gonna have to deal with that. So you're gonna have to move into the morning time, maybe into the evening when people are actually walking away. Change those ones up. Go with that. And bait can be different depending on what you're doing because you can target more in the early pieces of summer because you got that late spring run. Midsummer, you're not targeting as much because it's too damn hot. The water's too warm. Probably not going to play a lot, and that goes up and down the coast. You see different times. What the Carolinas are doing in the summer is different than what we're doing here in Florida because their water temperature is different. So you have to know your area and know what you're running with on that, right? Kind of a kind of a big deal. So, this one's gonna be a shorter episode. So we're gonna do another bait check at 31 minutes here. And like I've said before, 20 minutes is about where I like to be at for bait check in real life. 20, 25. Why? Because things pick things off. And I don't want to be sitting there fishing on credit. Some guys I know will wait 10 minutes in a spot and call it. That's cool. That works for them. That's their spot. That's gotta work for you. So without further ado, let's check it. This bait check is being brought to you by the Sinker Guy. Head on over to thesinkerguy.com and take a look what Chip's got going on in the Sinker Guy garage. Sinkers in his name, got you covered. Lots of good Sputniks. They are super. I love them. And he's talked about it on his stuff. He's got a big series going right now with some knowledge over on his YouTube channel and his Facebook. Go take a look. But, certain times you can adjust that the legs on there for more tension, less tension. He goes into a whole piece there. You need the Bruno rig. He's got it. The Uno. Yep. Covered there. Rigs, other floats, beads, hooks, tackle. He's got you covered. All on the website. Quick shipping, good customer service. Gets right to you. Thesinkerguy.com. All right. Tides. Man, I love talking about the science of this stuff, man. I know it's stupid, but I really, really enjoy that. So weather is going to be here no matter what. And you got so many apps you can look at. I mean, it's the only industry that you can get things wrong and still have a job and not get fired. That's pretty nice, right? Must be nice. You can get away with that stuff. Understanding your tides is going to be important. East Coast, West Coast, you got 2 a day. Here in the Gulf, we have 1 a day. Friggin' awesome. Love it. And so tides don't have a super, super effect on us here. However, that being said, the coefficient does. The water movement, how it flows, which direction. Excuse me. That matters. So if the tide's coming in, right? You've heard about this from several episodes. One of them that comes to my mind is the one with Seth. We were talking about how the what was it? The scent, right? All that scent when it's going out is being pulled away, so more fish are going to come, right? But when the water is high, they're coming in because they know where the bait is. They know the bait fish are coming in to eat on the smaller fish, the coquinas, um, sand fleas, stuff like that. So your predators are going to start coming in and they're going to try to munch on that. So, growing up, bigger ones there. So the incoming tide, knowing how to fish that is big. And then on the out, hey, water's receding away. It's going to pull my scent out. I'm going after X species. I need my scent to go away, which means, hey, there you go, low tide, right? Cool. Then you got the high. The big one I've heard is that everyone kind of talks about is the high side. The first two and after of the high, and then on the falling tide, the bottom and basically the 4 hours in between. So the high side and low side of the tides, most people have told me in the show, yeah, hey, that's where I fish. I like the high and low. Not mid. They won't, they have to feed the mid, then they're going to jump on it normally. Like, okay, cool. That's just at the end of my trip. Or they're getting out there at the beginning of the mid before they really start playing because they know they're going to hit their timelines. So go back and listen to a lot of the episodes. They'll talk about it, but that's normally where it runs. When it comes to rain, fishing in the rain is not bad, especially in the summer. It's probably pretty comfortable. Get an umbrella if you want to stay somewhat dry or wear wet weather gear. That way you're protected and all that stuff. However, when the oil electricity starts getting into the sky, get the hell out of there. Yeah, you don't need to be fishing in that. None of that is worth you getting electrocuted. It's just not. If you want to have some enjoyment to see what happens with that, because that seems to drive the algorithm of people getting hurt, injured, and possibly dying. Yeah, you can see plenty of videos on that if you just want to Google it, whatever. It's no shit, people. I mean, you got a 12-foot rod off the ground, another two, so you're 14 feet in an aluminum sand spike or metal driven into the sand down to hold it there. There's a weird term for that. Oh, what's it called? What's it called? Oh, lightning rod. Seriously, man. Get the hell out of there. In aviation, which this one always makes me laugh, we shut down operations and we call it L5. If there's lightning within 5 miles, we're clearing the flight line. Why? Because lightning travels a long ass way. I mean, the whole negative, the positive, from the ground to the sky. Yeah, you want to get into the science of it, go Google that one. That's a fun one. But yeah, no, if lightning's within a certain distance, get the hell out of there. And you all have seen numerous ones. And Justin and I did a video not too, God, it was a long time ago. Good God. Justin and I were in our kayaks. We were out there and we're looking at it. We're like, we've got it. Yeah, well, we see that storm. We're gonna make it. We barely made it back. Storms move faster than you think they do. And yeah, when you look into the sky and you think, oh, that's like 20, 30 miles. I got time. Yeah, no, you don't. Don't play with it. Pull up an app, take a look at it, take a look at what the winds are doing, all that stuff. But if you see weather coming, take a look at your friggin' phone. You're out there with it. Don't lie to me. You're out there with it. Look at the friggin' weather. Get an idea of what it's doing and make a plan and get the hell out. If you're out in the middle of the beach, especially here, this is one of the big ones. Where's cover? Where are you going to go to run for cover? A lot of times it's back to the car. Are you comfortable with leaving your gear out there in the rain while, you run for cover? Did you loosen the drag all the way so when, or loosen the drag up so something's there, you won't lose your gear? Kind of a game to play, right? So have a plan. Get the hell out of there. So pay attention there. Yeah, apps and those ones, kind of, those are your things to look at there for those. So with the seasons changing and all the, I don't know, excitement that comes from that, one of the ones that we really haven't mentioned is changing conditions. A lot of times they don't change on the fly. That'd be nice if they did. Sometimes it'd be nice to have someone, but one that does, that we didn't talk about is wind. Man, the wind game can really, really affect a whole lot of different pieces when it comes to fishing. One of the ones that I love that always comes back to mind is from Salt Strong. Um, they talk, I mean, Salt Strong's game for inshore, there's no competition, man. Salt Strong has got that frigging game dialed in. They were playing into the surf quite a bit. I haven't been on there in over a year. I canceled my membership because I wasn't doing anything with it. In reality, I enjoyed the community for what it was, but I'm not really into the inshore game as much. It's not really my jam. So, when I did have it, I watched a lot of the classes on, I want to say wind was something that they talked about a ton. They talked about getting behind points, 90% of fish are in 10% of the water, I believe it was. So at the beach, you've got the wind coming at you. There is no safety. For us here, obviously in Florida, in my area, if it's a south wind, it's hitting me in the face. That means I got a less casting distance. That means I got to deal with probably an increased set of waves. The flow is going to change from the high to the low side of the column. That's something to put into mind. So being adjustable to the wind is going to play into the game as well. Now, let's talk a little bit about we'll talk about shifting winds from east to west here, but let's do one more bait check because this one's going to be a little bit more of a longer topic. This bait check is being brought to you by Ninja Tackle. Yeah, buddy. NinjaTackleVA.com. Great website. They got the rods, man. They got the rods. Love the Dagger Series 7-footer, the Traveler. all the way up to a 13-footer. They got you covered on the entire string of rod sizes here. And man, I'm telling you, there's so many videos that'll show you what has been caught. I have caught some big fish on my 7-footer. Got a big old black drum on that thing. I wasn't even worried about the rod. I was more worried about the reel. Yeah, it's good. If you need their rigs, they've got you covered there. Bait, other style, they have conventional reels in there. They got a lot of good stuff. Matt really keeps it stocked up with so many pieces. If you need other things that you may not, you don't see on the website, and you want to go through a company that's really good in supporting, reach out to Matt. He's got you covered. On the other side, he's also got you with Ninja Tactical optics for your firearm accessories, and there's other pieces. I don't want to say too much because I don't know what the algorithm is doing with this right now. If you hear certain words, it might shut down my whole feed. But Ninja Tactical, definitely another great piece there, and great prices. I mean, really, really, really good prices for optics and gear like that. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. NinjaTackleVA.com is a website. Get on over there. All right. When it comes to the shifting, and this is something Cliff from Green Get 'em, I believe it was a southwest wind. It was what he really liked. South winds are nice because they do force the fish up. It's pretty cool. It does cause them, because the way that the effect is, it's going to push them a little closer to shore a lot of times, and it's going to do that same thing with the bait. Little bait does not swim well in high current, right? So wind's going to push them up. That's another thing to fight with there. South winds are cool. Uh, Kinda. Because if they're further out, you're not getting the casting distance you want. Doesn't matter what kind of gear you got, you're still fighting with the wind. Can't beat that one. A direct west or east wind, absolutely hate it personally. The full on bow in the friggin' line, and watch them all bowed out to the side. They got their that. I'm contending with wind one direction, and I'm contending with water going the other direction. And yes, my sinker holds. You've heard me talk about that. I have to adjust the legs a little bit for a certain design, but it sucks because now I've got that bend. And when I'm bringing my rod, my line back in, what's it going to do? It's going to curve. Just happens that way. It's part of it because the way that the forces work, right? So I don't like direct east or west. I've never had good success with full value east west winds. North wind. All right, those are fun for us here because that's the He-Man day. That's the day you just send it and watch it sail away. And you can cast 180 yards if you get it right, man. It's pretty intense. That being said, north wind days are your common days to overthrow the fish. Yeah, you heard me. You're overthrowing them. Man, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. You're overthrowing the fish. Shut up. No, you don't know what you're talking about. That guy knew what he's talking about. I watched that man beat my ass after me sitting there 4 hours not catching damn thing, and I watched him catch 30 whiting with a 7-foot rod and an itty bitty damn J hook with a quarter-ounce egg sinker. Might have been a half ounce. I got schooled because I was overthrowing the fish. Way the hell out there. They're not always 200 yards out, guys and gals. They're not. Don't do it. No, it feels really cool to cast it really far out. Sidebar with that, if you cast really far out and a can of fish hooks up really far out, what do you have? You have a long ass fight ahead of you. That is going to be, if it's 180 or if it's 150 yards, that's 150 cranks on your reel, as most reels run 36 inches per crank. That's a lot. God, that's a lot. And on top of it, you're dealing with your sinker floating behind or skipping off the bottom. You're dealing with other fish following it in to possibly grab the other one. If you've never seen blue runners, they'll do that. It's pretty fun to watch. You're dealing with the current, if it's coming in or out or sideways. Yeah, that fish is going to run. It's trying to get away. So you're dealing with that fight. You're dealing with drag manipulation. So many things you're dealing with. You're dealing with the waves and the backflow and the undertow. Doesn't need to be that far. Doesn't it? It's not that fun. So don't always on north wind days. Don't get crazy with the cheese whiz. If you got a strong wind at your back, adjust your swing, adjust your cast power. You don't need to get it ever that far out there. Um, yeah, I could go on that one. I'm not gonna. Kind of common sense there, right? Okay, so we talked about weather, we talked about winds, tides, gear, seasons, the patterns. All of that is it all plays a factor into this sport. Apps are great, man, and I put this in here in my notes specifically for this. In my phone, I've got one file called fishing, and it's got a bunch of apps in there. It's for me to know where my markers are, where my things are for fish identification. It's worth having because we all walk out with our phones. We all do, and use it to your advantage. Besides a meme machine, do something with it. Definitely put them on there for those and go. For gear, if you want to upgrade your gear, I'd recommend right before the fall and spring season. That being said, I'm going to do an episode on that here in the future, talking about gear and changes and testing. Because what I like versus what somebody else likes is a complete different game. And I bring this up with a perfect example of Justin, my best friend for vision, Justin Reed Fishing. You guys know I'm always out there with him. Yeah, very rarely am I. If I'm fishing alone, cool. If I'm out with people, cool. 9 times out of 10, if I'm out with somebody, it's more than likely Justin. So, uh, Justin is one of the few people that can grab a 9-foot rod and send it as far as most people throw a 12-footer. Yeah, I'm serious. I'm not even joking. I have a hard time. I can't keep up with him with a 9-footer. I can keep up with him with my 12, but that man can cast. His style of rods and the way he casts is different from mine, and the way he likes his setup is different from mine. We both have different feels. And if we're ever reeling in the other one's rod, we both know, hey, remember, it's a different feel, different style. But that being said, what I like in my rods, he doesn't like in his. So if I were to take a recommendation from him and get a piece of gear, how am I going to know it's going to work for me? I don't, right? I don't know anything about it. So you can walk into a local shop. For me, I'm going to walk into Half Hitch more than likely in Navarre. I'm going to walk in there and say, I need this. Well, they know me in there. So they're going to be like, dude, you don't want that. That's not your style. When I first went in the very first time, if you go back to one of the earlier episodes, I'll talk about it, especially when I talk about Half Hitch. The lady that hooked me up with the gear, she gave me, I think it was, I bought 3 or 4 different styles of rods with 4 different styles of reels. And I found what I liked at the time, and then my tastes have changed over the years to what I have now. And I've fallen in love with my Ninja series, my daggers. I absolutely love them because they fit the exact my feel that I enjoy, and I've also grown accustomed to them. So the buying of gear outright and blind is a tough game to play, and we're going to go really heavy into that in that next podcast episode about that. But if you're going to upgrade, think about that before you start upgrading. What you're upgrading to, why you're upgrading it, and what do you want to get out of it. That is the important pieces that I'll really emphasize heavily on that show. That's yeah, without me actually walking into that, man, because I could talk about that one right now for sure. I'd love to talk about that, but that's a whole nother podcast, and I got another day for you. I hope this episode was helpful for you. If it was, share it out. That's the way we grow. I know I need to write more articles and get them up on findingdemosurffishing.com. It's on my to-do list, kind of, sort of, not really. It's there. I'll get it done. But share the stuff out because this is all designed to help us either get back to basics, help somebody new, maybe a piece you didn't know about, share on with that. All this helps out in our community. That's my goal, as always has been, is to be a helper. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm not here to friggin' influence any of that. I'm not an influencer. I don't even like using the term. People say you are. No, I'm not. I'm just a guy that likes to fish and talk about it and hopefully help somebody out. So share it out. Do the good stuff. Keep following. There's more to come. You've been listening to Finding Demo Surf Fishing. Glad you were here. I'm out.